TaxAct knows every small business owner has different tax filing needs. With TaxAct, you can file yourself with the help of an expert, or TaxAct can do it all for you. You're the boss, the head honcho, the top banana. And TaxAct is like your loyal, trusty tax aide, ready to pounce on any tax needs you might have. TaxAct is dying to pounce on some small business tax needs. TaxAct. Let's get them over with.
Listen, all you New Yorkers. Excuse me, taxi.
Okay, man, we're looking around.
This is the 77 WABC minicast.
So Scott Pressler is a great American. I agree with, I think it was Campos, it may have been Grip or Charlie who said he should get the Medal of Freedom, and I think President Trump will give him that one day. I really do. This guy does so much to make sure we get the vote out for our party, the Republican Party. He's also makes sure every day that there's election integrity. He's got long, beautiful hair. He's handsome. He's a sweetheart. I had the chance to be at one of his rallies, which he threw for Jack Chittarelli on the beach in Jersey over the summer. It was great to see him. A real American hero, my friend Scott Pressler. Scott, good morning, buddy. How are you?
Gosh, I need an introduction like that wherever I go. Thanks, Sid.
You got one similar on Fox News yesterday, and you were Saturday. You were on with Shannon Breen. Maybe it was yesterday. You were great. You were great. And the truth is, it's true. You do amazing stuff for our party. I know Charlie, for example. Charlie Kirk, God rest his soul. He did some good things for our party in terms of getting the vote out in those states out west where he was from, right?
Yes.
But I don't think anybody does what you do, especially up and down the eastern seaboard. I mean, Pennsylvania, you're a rock star there, Scott.
Well, we all have our path to play, and my message is really said the power of one. You know, you don't have to be a Donald Trump. You don't have to be a J.D. Vance or an Elon Musk. But if 330 million Americans each took one positive, constructive action daily, we truly could transform our country for the better overnight. And in my opinion, it starts with passing the Save America Act. And I'm going to be hitting that like a gosh darn egg timer every single day until we've signed it into law.
What's amazing about it is, look, President Trump has already come out and said if it's not signed into law, Scott, and my audience, that he's going to sign an executive order anyway. He's going to make sure that come time to vote, you're going to have to show an ID. But either way, and you talked about this on Fox the other day, I get the Democrats, right? They're losers. They're horrible people. But, Scott, can you explain to me how people on our team, Republicans, would be against this act?
I'm trying my best, Sid, to put into perspective. Listen, the American people are angry, and part of the reason that we're angry is the history is repeating itself. In 2016, I don't have to remind the audience that we gave Republicans the House, the Senate, and the White House, right? We gave everything on a golden platter, and with Speaker Paul Ryan, all we did was pass tax cuts. It was probably one of the most milquetoast years that we had passing legislation. And what was the response from that? And certainly there were other factors involved, but we lose the House in 2018. They impeached Donald Trump in 2019. Then we had the Squad, AOC, Rashida Tlaib, Ilhan Omar, and ultimately it led to the election in 2020. I don't want that to happen again, and I see history repeating itself. Here we are, a Republican House, Senate, and White House, and we are failing to lead even though we're the majority. So my final message as we approach Tuesday, November 3rd, 2026 is if the Republican Senate does not bring the Save America Act to the Senate floor for debate and ultimately pass the legislation, they are very likely retiring not only members of the House of Representatives, their colleagues, but we are probably going to lose the Senate majority as well. Pass the Save America Act or lose this November.
You're 100% right, Scott. And I like the little history going back 10 years. You got all that right, too. So correct me if I'm wrong. And people love Scott Pressler. Why not? He's great looking. He's got, the whole thing. But I'm not sure they're going to want to see you in places that you promised to show up at. You said, I'm coming to Kentucky. I want to go with you, by the way. I'm going to Alaska. So you're going to make a few stops, if I'm right here, Scott Pressler, along the way, if, in fact, these people don't come around, yes?
Well, here's the thing. I'm kind of like, for lack of a better word, like Dad, where you don't want me to show up because when I show up, you're in trouble. I show up when something's wrong. So when I come to Alaska, it's because Senator Murkowski is not supporting the Save America Act. When I come to Kentucky, it's because Senator McConnell is not supporting the Save America Act. When I come to South Dakota, going to Rapid City and Sioux Falls, it's because Senate Majority Leader Thune, today is day 47 of us still not passing the gosh darn Save America Act. And so we are leveling up, Sid. We have been calling, we have been emailing, but now I need people to write handwritten letters because the Senate, they're on break. They're off right now, Sid. You're working, I'm working, but the Senate is off. So what I want people to do is write handwritten letters to the respective senators. And when the Senate returns on February 23rd, which is the day before the State of the Union, they hopefully are going to be peacefully flooded with letters at their D.C. offices. And throughout the year, we're going to continue to level up. And it's going to go from handwritten letters to in-person rallies to people going in person to see their members of Congress in D.C. But we are not going to stop for a second until this legislation is signed into law by President Donald J. Trump.
God bless you. This is the amazing Scott Pressler. Murkowski doesn't surprise me, Scotty. She does this crap all the time. Her and Susan Collins, and you had Romney in Utah. So she doesn't surprise me. But I got to tell you.
Wait. Hold up real quick. We have to give credit where credit is due. Putting gratitude and our attitude, Sid, is critical. I do have to say, Susan Collins is on board with the Save America Act.
Yes.
So let's give that gratitude.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. Yes, no, you should. You're right. Collins is actually on board here, which in the past she hasn't been. But like I said, she's part of that cabal anyway with Murkowski and the rest of these Republicans that just want to break Trump's balls. But I'm a little surprised with John Thune that he can't get this thing done. Is it fair to, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but is it fair to say of the three states and the three people you just mentioned that maybe Scott Pressler, you're most disappointed in Thune?
I'm disappointed in working hard every single day to elect people into office. And quite frankly said, I really feel, and I'm not being egotistical, that's not my intent. I'm not being condescending, that's not my intent. I feel as a private citizen, I'm working harder on behalf of the American people than members of Congress. And that's not how it should be.
Agreed.
I shouldn't be doing a better job listening to constituents. I shouldn't be working harder than members of the Senate. That's all I'm asking them to do. I'm asking them that if they campaigned on 2024 promises of securing the border, deporting criminal illegal aliens, making life affordable for working class America, and securing our elections, all I'm simply asking these people to do is keep the promises they made on behalf of the American people. So yes, it's disappointing when I put my blood, sweat, and tears into electing the very people in the office that when we give them power, they are unable to wield that power. And I tell you, Sid, it really makes me think about running for office myself and showing these people a thing or two about how to get stuff done.
Oh, you should definitely do that. I mean, on a serious note, Scott, you would win. And this party needs, you're young, seriously, you're young, you're good looking, you present yourself well. That's what we need. These relics, and mostly the Democrats have those. We are a younger, better looking party anyway, but it would be great to have somebody like you, Scott Pressler, to run for office. So if I were you, I would definitely keep that as a real option. But before you do that, with this fight here, have you spoken to President Trump at all over the last couple of weeks?
I have not spoken to our great president, but what was really cool, Sid, is I just spent the last week going to Capitol Hill, and here I am. I'm an outsider, but thanks to the Republican Study Committee, they brought me in, and within 1 week, I spoke to over 80 members of Congress. I've spoken to Senator Mike Lee. I've spoken to Senator Rick Scott. I've spoken to Chairman Brian Stile out of Wisconsin and Abe Hamadeh out of Arizona and Chairman Pfluger out of Texas. And we're building real relationships from the grassroots, the patriots, with members of Congress.
That is great.
And so we're going to continue doing this work. And who knows? Maybe for the State of the Union, if there's an opportunity, I would love to let the president know that we've got his back 100% on election integrity reform.
It's tax season, and at LifeLock, we know you're tired of numbers. But here's a big one you need to hear. Billions. That's the amount of money in refunds the IRS has flagged for possible identity fraud. Now here's another big number. 100 million. That's how many data points LifeLock monitors every second. If your identity is stolen, we'll fix it guaranteed. One last big number. Save up to 40% your first year. Visit LifeLock.com/podcast for the threats you can't control. Terms apply.